Quick announcement before starting the video here. From now until Monday, you can get 10% off on all FP6 merch that you pick up from Teespring. The link is always down in the description. So if you've been thinking about picking up maybe a t-shirt or sweatshirt or FP6 mug, you can use the coupon code WEEKEND10 to get 10% off at checkout. Now onto the video. What's up everyone, this is FP6 bringing you some more Go Battle League battles here in the Great League. And in today's video, we're going to be talking all about Galvantula. Holy cow! Have you guys been running into a lot of Galvantula in Go Battle League? Well, there's a reason for that. It is just as powerful as ever in the meta right now. Now that Niantic introduced the new bug type charge move Lunge, which is pretty much just a direct clone of the ice charge move Icy Wind that we're already familiar with, does a decent amount of damage and also has a 100% chance to debuff your opponent's attack. Very strong move, and honestly I think that this was very much needed because bug as a typing in general is not that great, especially in Go Battle League, so any sorts of buffs we can give the poor bug types to have a play in this meta, I think it's great. And this team specifically, Galvantula lead, run a Volt Switch, Discharge, Lunge, Azumarill as the safe swap. Again, the Azumarill moveset is always pretty flexible here. Lately I have been rolling with Ice Beam and Play Rough though, and then Galarian Stunfisk in the back running the typical moveset. This team is unbelievably strong. Galvantula is really kind of a core breaker. You know, one of the most popular teams we saw last season was that Skarmory, Azu, Shadow Machamp team. Galvantula can steamroll through all that. The Lunge damage is going to be hitting Dark types for super effective, Psychic types for super effective, Grass types for super effective. It just has a lot of play for sure. And Discharge is a pretty solid move as well, and then Volt Switch does massive damage as well as have really good energy generation. So I think Galvantula in the lead position functions really well because you are going to need shields, and as you can see in a lot of these matchups, even though you might have to go into a shield deficit off of the lead, if you can preserve that Galvantula, it's going to guarantee that you're going to be able to get a debuff on your opponent's next Pokemon, and you're going to win switch advantage, which oftentimes in Go Battle League can be the win scenario there. So I believe we have two sets today where I'm using this team, and it's kind of funny. I was using this team before I went on Twitch and saw what other teams people were using, and then I noticed a lot of other people streaming and battling were also running this exact same team. So I did not come up with this. This is just kind of a generalized consensus of a good team comp right here, because Azumarill and Stunfisk both can handle some of Galvantula's worst matchups, being those ground types you can either mirror with your Stunfisk, or Azumarill is for sure going to be able to handle those. So right now I get hydro pumped by that Azumarill, which is not great at all, but Galvantula is going to come out, be able to farm this thing down just before I get hit by an Ice Beam, which is really good for me. Out comes that Stunfisk again. Yeah, this is very difficult, and then there's a Tropius in the back. Luckily it is an Air Slash Tropius, but this is really not looking good. Down in shields, and unfortunately Galarian Stunfisk is one of the hardest checks to Galvantula. With the rise of Galvantula, there's even more Galarian Stunfisk in the meta right now, and Azumarill is always going to be in the meta because it's just so flexible and well-rounded. So what I'm trying to do here is run out the switch clock and then get my Galvantula onto this Tropius, but I'm barely too slow to the switch, and now at this point it's game over because Galvantula is not going to be able to take out that Galarian Stunfisk, so I can see the match there. Good game. Okay, Galvantula mirror match. Unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, the Galvantula that I'm currently using is a rank 1, which means that I'm pretty much going to lose all of the CMP ties in these mirror matches, which is pretty annoying. So one way that I could play this a little bit better is commit no shields in this opening and just accept the fact that I'm going to lose this mirror match, because it's going to happen anyways. But Galarian Stunfisk is going to be able to have a nice farm coming out of this. Bug does not resist bug, so the lunge hits for neutral on Galvantula. This is actually really great that my opponent is throwing their energy right here. I'm for sure going to bring out Stunfisk, and I'm just going to farm up to 100 energy. I can't really mudshot this thing down without being hit by probably 3 lunges. But I'm building up to a lot of energy here. Now I will throw the Rock Slide to avoid getting hit by another lunge. But I pretty much farmed up to 100 energy. Down goes the Galvantula. I'm up in shields. There's a Swampert in the back. I'm going to switch in my Azumarill here and preserve all that energy on my Stunfisk. Since the Galvantula is out of the picture, I'm assuming whatever is in the back, Azumarill should have some play against. And the fact that my opponent is staying in with the Swampert right here really makes me think that as well. So this is definitely going to be a Sludge Wave here, but if the Swampert stays in, I'm going to bubble it down. They're staying in, so I have a lot of energy loaded. In the back is Stunfisk. Interesting, so my opponent ran Galvantula lead and then kind of double ground type in the back. That's a pretty strong team for sure. Definitely a strong team. But my Earthquake is going to take out that Stunfisk there. Good game. Galvantula into Victory Bell. Oh my gosh. So this is most likely the Shadow Victory Bell. I know there's a Bastiodon in the back. And I've also seen this line with Galarian Stunfisk in the back. So Shadow Victory Bell lead and then double Steel types in the back. It's really annoying to deal with. Honestly, these Bastiodon and Shadow Victory Bell teams are... I really don't enjoy playing against them. They're not flexible at all, and they're totally just based on the fact of winning alignment and just fast moving down your opponent, which is pretty annoying to deal with. I get Acid Sprayed there, which is not great. Out comes Azumarill. I'm going to preserve my Stunfisk and then switch into my own Azumarill here. This is really good because my Azumarill gets to avoid the Victory Bell. I shield up the Hydro Pump there. Questionable play for sure, but I had to shield, so might as well use it. I want to make sure I'm always a little bit over farmed on Energy Beat because I know the Victory Bell is going to be coming out soon, and so I need to make sure that I can land an Ice Beam on that thing before the Razor Leaf damage does too much. So I'm always farming up to 100 energy before I throw a move. I'm anticipating them swapping right here, but I switch into my Stunfisk, and then this Rock Slide is going to be able to KO this Victory Bell, which is really good. Get that thing out of here. I'm hoping it's a Bastiodon in the back, especially since the Azumarill came out again. I'm definitely anticipating there being a Bastiodon in the back. Let's see it. Oh, it's a Stunfisk, but that's okay because I'm up in shields. All I have to do is land this Earthquake. And I can just save the shield for Azumarill, and it'll take care of this Stunfisk as well. So Earthquake does not one-shot a Stunfisk. I even no-shield this, but they try to bait me with Rock Slide, so at this point it's pretty much game over. Good game there. Galvantula into Bastiodon. Okay, this is bad. Because what's going to happen, I'm going to switch in my Azu. It's going to be met by a Razor Leafer. Typical. But Cherim, Sunny Cherim, Razor Leaf Sunny Cherim, doesn't actually need to commit any shields. If you're fast enough on the swap, which my opponent was. It's kind of a nice spin-off to the Bastiodon Shadow Victory Bell team, but I'm sure that there's a Shadow Victory Bell in the back. This is unfortunate because Weather Ball is going to hit for super effective damage here. It does a big chunk, and at this point, I'm just hoping that my Stunfisk can sweep. But probably not. Probably not. I'm over farming as much energy as possible here because I know that they're just going to switch in the Shadow Victory Bell pretty soon here. They're waiting for me to dump my energy, and then they're going to switch in their Shadow Victory Bell. They just totally sacked the Bastiodon, and there's the Shadow Victory Bell in the back. Just save 2 shields for it. Just tap your phone screen, and you win the game if your opponent's team can't beat it. Been running into this team a whole bunch, and I'm sure you guys have run into it as well. It's often debated in the community on like how people feel about this team. I absolutely hate it because there's no flexibility, and it's just purely rock paper scissors matchup. There's really no finesse when playing it, but some people just want to kind of roll the dice and hope that you're going to get a free win and go Battle League based on team comp. And if they want to play like that, that's totally fine. For me personally, you will never, ever, ever see me running a team like that. My Stunfisk is stuck against this Meganium, which is not super great. I'm already down in shields. This is most likely an earthquake, but I have to... Oh, they're going straight for the frenzy plant. It's kind of nice when they go straight for the frenzy plant because it allows me to get off more rock slides. I switch into my Galvantula here. If this is an earthquake, Galvantula should still survive it, but frenzy plant does so much damage still. Really not good. I'm able to get to this lunge. I really want this Meganium out of here so my Azu can have some play, but they preserve the Meganium. I have to let my Galvantula go down here, and then I'm actually going to, I think, bubble down Meganium with my Azumarill, because I know that they won't be able to get to another frenzy plant. It's very close, but they're not going to get there. Skarmory in the back. I still have my Stunfisk, but it's pretty low. I'm building up to 100 energy here. Always trying to bluff the Hydro Pump. This could be a Brave Bird, so I will preserve this. It's only a Sky Attack, unfortunately. I'm one bubble away from getting to another Ice Beam. But I switch in my Stunfisk and go for the combo play here. Rock Slide is just barely not enough to take out the Skarmory. Out comes the opposing Stunfisk, and because I saved all that energy, I'm able to get to this very clutch Earthquake here, which is huge. Takes out the Stunfisk, and then I just need to... luckily, even if this is a Brave Bird, Azumarill is going to survive. And it was, so very close game, but able to pull it out there. Good game. Galvantula into Mew. This is totally fine. Lunge is going to be hitting for super effective damage on the Mew. So always, and it debuffs the opponent's attack, which is great. Very interesting that they just let that go through, and then out comes Deoxys. Galvantula is just having a feeding frenzy with these matchups. At this point, I bring in my own Stunfisk. I debuff the attack on the Deoxys, and these Mud Shots plus the Volt Switch damage that I already did to this Deoxys is essentially putting it in Earthquake range. The charge moves literally do almost nothing to Stunfisk, especially with the debuff. It's amazing. Well, that's definitely not Earthquake range. Man, Deoxys is still so bulky. I always forget how bulky Deoxys is. It can just tank so many freaking moves. I can't really Mud Shot it down. I'm actually glad that they gave up Switch there. I'm going to throw this Earthquake. And then I know that they still have the Mew. So, very questionable play here. I bring out my Galvantula onto this Azumarill instead of mirroring with my own Azumarill. Now this means that my Azumarill is going to be kind of stuck against the Mew, but luckily the Mew is so low, it's not going to be too much of a problem. It does have Energy Store though. Actually, they totally just sacked the Mew, and then Galvantula is just going to continue to wreak havoc on this team. Yeah, their whole team was weak to Galvantula. Holy cow. Good game. Galvantula and Skarmory. This is totally fine. Obviously, the Air Slashes do hit for neutral damage. I'm going to bring in my Stunfisk because it resists all of this charm damage. There's no sense in baiting here. Honestly, if my opponent shields, that just puts me at even more of an advantage. I'm going to let this go. It's probably an Ice Beam. It hits for neutral. I survive it. And then I get to Mud Shot down this Wigglytuff, which is good for me. Out comes Hariyama. Whoa. Whoa. Hariyama. I was expecting a Shadow Machamp. I actually get a shield there, which is really great. I'm up in shields. I know they still have Skarmory. Azumarill is literally a wall to this Hariyama. And so I'm just going to maintain the alignment here. I really don't need to shield anything. Heavy Slam would hit me for neutral damage, but they go for a Dynamic Punch, which does a very little chunk here. I'm just over farming because I knew they were going to switch into Skarmory at any point in time. So I'm just saving the energy. Gonna throw the Discharge here. This is just a very simple game of alignment at this point, purely a win based on team comp. But when you have games like this, yeah, it's very important to still play smart, maintain that alignment, still do your best at energy management. So I'm gonna throw this Discharge here, and it takes out the Skarmory. Out comes that Hariyama again, and this Discharge should take out the Hariyama. It's gonna do a lot of damage. Yep, just enough to take it out. Good game. Galvantula is just putting on a clinic here. Okay. So this matchup, in theory, like, is favorable for Galvantula, right? Because one lunge would absolutely one-shot the Shiftry. But most Shiftries have been playing this very smart, what I've noticed. This is most likely a bait. Yeah, they bait with Leaf Blade, and then that allows them to get to the foul play, which still does a big chunk to Galvantula. But I'll let it go no matter what. Or I should let it go. I will let it go. This is the foul play, but then I'm going to get outpaced to their next charge move. I know this is a Leaf Blade, but I have to shield it. Very unfortunate. Should have just shielded the foul play. Out comes the Azumarill. I should have stored a charge move on my Galvantula, because I know that my Galvantula wins CMP against the Shiftry. So even if I get farmed down with the Shiftry, I'd still be able to nuke it. But I was worried that the bubble damage would have been enough to take out my Galvantula. So I'm honestly not in the best position right here. Because that Shiftry absolutely put in work in the lead. Shiftry is so powerful with shields. Out comes that Shiftry again. I am going to be able to get to this Ice Beam though, because I was very good with my energy management and making sure that I was kind of overcapped the entire time. Down goes the Shiftry. Out comes the Azumarill again. This is really good for me because my Stunfisk gets to avoid it. And I know that they have Play Rough, so I doubt that they have Hydro Pump. So I'm actually going to bring out my Stunfisk, Mud Shot down. If there is an opposing Stunfisk in the back, I want an energy advantage. And it's an Alolan Marowak, so I would have Earthquaked that and one-shot it anyways. Good game. Galvantula into Cherim. This is another sketchy matchup, because this annoying little Cherim gets to Weather Balls very fast. It actually cleanly outpaces Galvantula, so I don't know why my opponent is over farming there. Really no point, because they just get debuffed by the lunge damage. I have to shield up this Weather Ball, but I'm going to get it outpaced to this next one. I'm going to have to tank one and see how much it does. That's still such a big chunk. But my opponent for sure has to shield this lunge. I would imagine it would take them out at this range. I know I'm going to get outpaced. But I shield this up. Kind of a bad shield. Then I switch into my Azumarill to catch this Weather Ball. Because it looks like in the 2 shield, Cherim can freaking beat... Cherim can beat Galvantula. Even though that lunge damage does so much. It's just so spammy. And here my opponent just keeps going for Weather Ball, which is very strange. They're not even bluffing the Solar Beam. They did store some energy before switching out of that matchup, so I need to be aware of that. But they were so slow to the swap that our switch clocks are wildly out of sync now. My Galvantula is pretty low, so I'm kind of in a scary spot here. Gonna switch in Galvantula right now and barely get to this discharge. That's really good. But if I get bullet seeded down by this Cherim, I'm gonna get hit by a Solar Beam and it's gonna be so bad. So you actually saw me intentionally let my Galvantula go down there, which is a questionable play. Yeah, that was a stupid play. But luckily my opponent switches in Cherim right away and I throw this Ice Beam. And it takes out the Cherim. This is kind of a wild game. Oh my gosh, Alolan Marowak in the back. I just need to land an Earthquake on this thing. I'm gonna get Shadow Balled here. Never mind, they're going for the Bone Club. Shadow Ball is definitely the play. I'm anticipating the swap, so I'm over farming a little bit. I'm gonna be able to take out this Alolan Marowak. And then barely get to a Rock Slide to take out... Oh, lag. Barely able to get there. Very close game. Good game. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Galvantula is an absolute monster. You should give it a try. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video.